Just to run over a brief overview of what it is, I'll start from the beginning. Can you see my screen all right?
Yep, good.
Gorgeous. So essentially the concept of this is very much asset capture from a digital perspective, which allows us to scope afterwards. But in order to do this, we have to have George's amazing sort of project management models that you have. So first of all, if you're keen to do this further down the line, you've got to engage with George first in order to do it. But the capture side of what we do is very simple. We take these Ricoh cameras, which actually George's team introduced us to because they have JPEG output. There's some other 360 cameras out there, especially the Insta360 ones, don't have a JPEG friendly output. And all you can do, you can see my colleague here, Gary, is just walking from room to room, pushing the button and then capturing as he goes. And it's literally this quick while you'll be capturing those 360s that George was referring to earlier in order to build these models. And then import wise, you can see just in my standalone still here, you just need to line up the images once you've got them from the camera in the order, or you need to rename them yourself and just drag them in to George's project information models on Active Plan. It's just that easy. So that bit is essential to do first before you can then start the digital asset capture. So I hope that makes sense. I'll fly through it and then I guess you can pop questions in the chat further down the line. Once you have your 360 image loaded into the project information model, we've then created the screen recording here. So within the 360 image, we are finding and locating your more what we refer to as and base plates and maybe condition grading. So more your heavy plant, we would still absolutely encourage getting a survey for. But your kind of more basic replacement assets, where maybe you're just looking to see how much it would cost to replace, or how much are an entire your general count in a building for lighting, for fire extinguishers, etc. That can be captured so quickly and so easy. It's really easy to audit. So if you see that I've missed anything here, if I'm presenting this to the client, they can say, okay, Hannah, their fire doors, the ones with the circular window, can you please collect those for me? And I can pop in and say, yeah, absolutely, no problem. We can do all of this remotely. You don't need to send a surveyor back to do it on that side. And it's opening up and allowing full kind of audit capability. We're accepting the fact that it's no longer appropriate to hand over just a big spreadsheet of asset data anymore. You know, this is our audit trails, and this is us proving that we can hit a much higher level of accuracy. And if the scope changes, we can just pop back in and add the additional assets that are now potentially in scope from an FM perspective.
Excellent.
Oh, do you want me to just run through the benefits, or would you like me to pop into a demo?
I think go through the benefits.
Yeah. So as I said, it's you're able to capture assets really quickly. I've done the maths over, myself and Gary, who's also on the call, have been through the maths of this, and we are 600% faster than a boots on the ground surveyor when we're doing it. We've spent a long time working towards this, so not to toot my own horn, but I think we're probably the quickest ones at it. You're looking at an average of 3 assets captured per minute for capture, which can return, you know, anything up to 1,200 assets in a 7-hour working day. So that's quite a nice leisurely day, as opposed to more likely you're going to be hitting maybe 100 or 120 assets picked up by a boots on the ground surveyor. We can virtually return to site in the event of scope change, as I said, and we can workshop the survey, bringing in multiple SMEs to look at items. So I was saying to George the other night, I was able to bring our fire expert in virtually to a site in Ireland, which saved so much money because it saved on his flight, it saved on his accommodation, and he was able to do a virtual tour of the site and pick up everything that he needed, which completely saved a site visit. Just a little Venn diagram there of, you know, the other alternative options, but I really believe that digital asset capture emanates the sort of speed, accuracy, and adaptability. There's other digital options out there, but they are not always as cost effective, because always we're used to clients, you know, cutting the fat on that side. This is the most cost effective, quickest, and most accurate form of surveying I've ever come across, and our clients love it. Some bits moving towards the future. So as I said, serial numbers, etc., can't be picked up. You could either invest in more high quality cameras or take more pictures if you wanted to, but this is where we really advocate for surveyors to come into the major plant heavy areas and the asset dense areas. Your condition grading is visually dependent unless those taking the pictures from the first slide are walking around making notes. So if you've got a damp smell in the plant room, or if you've got weird humming noises coming from your plant, then that needs to be picked up and noted, because it won't be necessarily noted by the person doing the digital pinning. But non-technical persons are doing the digital pinning. So this frees up the technical person to focus on the plant heavy and asset areas. But then the only downside is that you're having ideally non-technical people doing the pinning, so the asset gathering, if that makes sense. I will jump into a demo if you like, George, unless there's anyone that wanted to jump in with any queries in the meantime.
I think quite a quick demo, Hannah, because I think we're running over a little bit.
So this is one of the buildings in Ireland that we've been making, and then this is a gorgeous example of George's product library here for the digital asset pinning. So we just can pop into this plant room, or sorry, into this classroom. And then all of the assets, according to the BIM handover, are already preloaded on the right-hand side here. So if I want to look for these items, I don't necessarily know what all of these things are, but with the product library that George has been creating, if I'm not sure what an electrical fixture is, you know, which one it is, if it's a light switch, it already has the images loaded in there. So I can click on that and I can start to capture them if I can see them in the room. I can't see any of those there. Let me find something that I can see. So any actuators and things that might be in the ceiling, where I can see them, I can start to click on those and collect those assets there. And you can see I've found 2 out of 4. If I'm struggling in the image to see them, I can flag this room and send somebody back to site in order to pick it up for me, or maybe get a better image. For this one here, the lighting, it's so obvious which lighting it is, which is great, because sometimes you have LED strips and it's not obvious. And I can really quickly start to audit through this 360 images and pick this up. So this room here, I can see 12 so far, and you can see from the list that 12 is the complete number there. So it's a digital audit. It's so quick and easy to do. You can do it, you can add more in. So if I find an additional one there, if I put a pretend one in here, you can see that it will then audit itself and say that you've got too many, if that makes sense, because you're saying like how many of each item you should have there. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to delete this one because I don't want to mess up this asset data for that room. But yeah, quick flyby run through of digital asset capture. Hopefully that makes sense for you.
No, that's fantastic. Chris, we need to move on, but please, can we have your question or comment?
It was just a very quick question about if you can't see in the roof space at all, what would be the process for that? Would you just drop back to traditional surveying access, or would you actually get cameras up into loft spaces and other access spaces? How would you that's the question. How would you approach hidden assets?
Where we're able to, we will put cameras up into ceiling voids. If not, and if it's not accessible at all, because we have a couple of clients with marble ceilings, we are reliant on O&Ms, and ActivePlan can overlay those O&Ms onto the model, so they can preload that information. And like you would be, you know, even if you were surveying, you couldn't get into the ceiling. Sometimes we have to wait for the ceilings to be literally lowered, and then we'll go in and with our clients and take pictures. But yeah, if we can get up there, we'll pop the camera up there, or if not, we'll get a surveyor to go there.
Thank you. A
Okay,
600%
sorry,
productivity is amazing.